What, so they'll have another injury game? Very good. Nova. Oh, Nova?
And we are back live from Montclair State University in Montclair, New Jersey. Charlie Brooks tonight on the call for tonight's game live on 11 Sports. And it is quite the enticing one. Jackson Lions, FC Motown. Two bitter rivals in the state of New Jersey in a game that both really must win if they want not only playoffs but also a chance at hosting the playoffs. Currently the Keystone East looks like this. You have the FC Motown standing at the top, 19 points out of their first 7 games. Then there's a 4-point gap to the Jackson Lions. 7 games played, 14 points, 5 wins, 2 losses. And then right behind them, Atlantic City FC, currently sitting 5 points back from first place, 1 point behind second. Keystone East, only 2 teams will make the playoffs. They cut the Keystone in half. They cut the Keystone playoff games in half. It used to be you would play 2 to win the Keystone Conference. Now you just have to win 1 game to win your Keystone East or Keystone West. Makes it that much more enticing for every single regular season game. And oh, by the way, both of these teams still need to play Atlantic City FC for Jackson and Motown finishing the regular season at Atlantic City. If you're Jackson, finishing the regular season at home against First State after that meeting against Atlantic City next weekend for the hosts. Motown wearing their green, white, and black jerseys today. They will be going right to left in the first half. Jackson wearing their all-white jerseys today, going left to right in half number 1. Jackson will kick us off underway with a couple of former FC Motown players, including Kenny Hunt and Julian Anderson. Both spent time with Motown in the NPSL. Both hoping to continue making an impact this summer with the Jackson Lions. We are just about ready. Opening kickoff between the Jackson Lions and FC Motown here in pivotal NPSL soccer action. It's going to be Jacob Rubenstein who will kick us off underway. He's standing in the center circle, number 9 tonight for the Jackson Lions. One of their more experienced players. He's played at multiple levels for the Jackson Lions as he gets it up to Kenny Hott, and it will go back. See what the Jackson Lions can do tonight. As there's a turnover, Franco Catania up to Opoku Mensah, gets around his defender, crosses it in, and it's an opening goal for FC Motown. Chris Bermudez takes advantage of a defensive error, and FC Motown opened the scoring within 1 minute. The original cross in by Opoku Mensah, stopped by a defender, then poked home by Chris Bermudez. An absolute nightmare of a start for the Jackson Lions on the road. A bad turnover, and Franco Catania got it up to Opoku Mensah and slotted home by Chris Bermudez. Can Jackson do better on this kickoff? The switch. Do we have 2 goals this early? No, we do not. It's a good job by David Greshak coming out to claim. Looks like Kevin Kapik has actually slotted into the starting 11 for Jackson, so apologies. Seems like they made a change right before kickoff to their starting lineup. It was the turnover by Olu Ngunwale, the Penn State player, that caused that turnover, and then the opening goal for Motown. No Joe Fala, no Emilio Askalainen, no issue for Motown in the first minute at least. Here's Kevin Kapik. Going back to Ogunwale, who was taken down, and that's a very late whistle, but the referee did give the foul against Opoku Mensah. Nothing that Callum Erlenborn could have done there, the goalkeeper, as there's a foul. Bermudez causing early issues to the Jackson Lions tonight. 2 games against Jackson, 2 goals for Chris Bermudez, who also scored against them the first time around. Fight in the midfield for the ball. It's not won by Hermanus Achterkamp, and now numbers have to get back for Motown. Jules Anderson asking for a handball, but it came from such a position it was not likely to be given. Opoku Mensah. He's guarded closely by Brandon Golden, the former Rutgers and Fordham player. Ball up and a player goes down, but no call from the referee. That was Catania involved there as Chris Lemery wins possession. Settled by Bermudez and FC Motown. Back up to Opoku Mensah. Trying to get it to the outside, but it's intercepted by Anderson. For the Jackson Lions, their only losses so far this year to FC Motown and to Atlantic City FC, both at home. They are undefeated on the road. Kapik getting that ball upfield to Daniel Russo. Now to Giuseppe Barone, his ball in towards the far post. And it has to be settled. Not out of danger yet. Kenny Hott gives it up. Barone inside. Still a chance. Still a shot. And it stays out, but then is put back. No offside flag goes up. 2 goals in 5 minutes, and the Jackson Lions have equalized via the number 9 of Jacob Rubenstein. The ball originally stayed out of the net off the original shot by Daniel Russo, but the first player there for the putback was Rubenstein for the equalizer. It was a good shot by Russo, but an even better reaction time by Rubenstein, not letting it go in, but ensuring that it was over the goal line. 2 goals in 5 minutes in this Jersey Classico. Motown come on the attack. And it's a good turn. Ball to the outside for Bermudez. Bermudez, a deflection off of the post and stays out. And Opoku Mensah was offside, but it was almost 2 early goals, causing a lot of issues. Rubenstein has to chase this ball, and he goes down with an injury. The man who just finished for the Jackson Lions immediately went down holding his leg. And it's the last thing that the visitors need, is a substitution is being signaled by the referee. And that might do it for Jacob Rubenstein. 1 goal, 7 minutes played. But it seems like it will not continue. So an early substitution forced by injury. Andrew G is the player getting warmed up and ready for the Jackson Lions. So Rubenstein scores a goal, but his night is quickly over due to injury. Hopefully the best for Jacob Rubenstein, a player that the Jackson Lions need not only for this game, but for the remainder of the season. FC Monmouth next game, then Atlantic City FC. Kenny Hott takes the throw in, gets it to Giuseppe Barone. Good ball into the 18-yard box. And it's cleared away by Gene Voltaire, but only as far as Capek, who serves it back in, and it goes out for a goal kick. See Miguel Diaz causing some issues for Motown on the right side. Great win there by Opoku Mensah, running at the defense, gives it up. Far side for Bermudez, his cross, and it's headed away by Capek. This game guaranteeing goals, at least early on. As here come Motown again with Chicholu. Catania switching it, and it could not be won there at the far side. That was Danny Cordero who was trying to switch it to. Good interception. Chicholu in the midfield. Gives it up to Lemma. Chris Lemma. The pullback. The shot by Apoku Mensah. It's off target. He had the overlapping run of Danny Cordero. Decided not to use it. Ogunwale punting this one up, and it will not reach the number 7 of Miguel Diaz. Motown wearing these beautiful jerseys with the 1776 by David Burke logo on the front. A great sponsorship for Motown to get this summer. Fantastic place to go out for dinner and entertainment if you're looking for something to do in Morristown, New Jersey. Right off the green. 1776 by David Burke. Temporary turnover, but Lemma recovers and holds possession. Apoku Mensah was offside. Restart taken a little bit too quickly. The ball was still rolling. So we're back underway. Brandon Golden and the Jackson Lions responding quickly after going behind 1-0 in the first minute. No handball called. Franco Catania lays it off. The return back. And Erlenborn gets it first. Jackson were complaining about a handball on Franco Catania that was not whistled. As Kapik will keep this ball in bounds. The way this game is started, there's a reason why these two teams are 1 and 2 in the Keystone East. That's a bad turnover by Motown now. Daniel Russo behind Julian Anderson, though. The attack's not over. The cross. And Russo high up into the air, headed away. A throw-in conceded, but just a throw. Although Jackson are going quickly. Kapok into the box. Cross to the far post. And it will be picked up there, and a foul committed just outside of the 18-yard box. Thomas Johnson went down. And it's a dangerous set piece as Kenny Hott will come to take. Of course, Kenny Hott, the nephew of Sachi Hott, the former FC Motown NPSL coach. Kenny plays at Duke University, where he was an ACC All-Freshman selection. His service in over everyone's heads. Kenny played for Motown back in 2021. Spent last year with New York City FC's second team at MLS Next Pro, then went to the collegiate game. One of the top prospects in collegiate soccer. And he's spending this summer with the Jackson Lions as Julian Anderson's tackled off, recovers. And Anderson is the overlapping run, the shot, finds a teammate, still in the area, it's Russo. Russo finds only a Motown jersey, and Motown will come the other way. Catania, nice move, gets around Diaz. Jackson conceding the throw-in under pressure from Opoku Mensah as Brandon Golden felt the pressure on his shoulder. Decided the easier route was the clearance. Cordero into Opoku Mensah, and it's reset. This game has settled down a little bit since the frantic start, 2 goals in 5 minutes. But there's still a lot of pressure being put on by both sides offensively. Daniel Russo, the main proponent of said attacking pressure, as he crosses it in again. And it's cleared once more by Motown. Ball outside to Diaz. He's had a good first half. Diaz on the ground. And that shot goes wide from Julian Anderson. For Motown, no Samuel Niashidi, no Joe Holland in midfield. As I've mentioned, no Joe Fala up top, or Emili Askalainen, who was their backup number 9, so just trying to get through this game. Andres Puente, the Long Island University player on the near side, getting a lot of pressure from Miguel Diaz. I'm sure that's something that the Jackson Lions are trying to attack. Player making his first start for Motown. Puente started this summer with Motown's USL 2 squad, Motown STA. Got the call-up last game for NPSL, came off the bench against Monmouth. Now getting the start, as that one was flicked off of a Motown head. Mike DeFont, the player that goes down under some contact. So it's become Hermanis Octocomp and Jean Voltaire that are Motown center backs tonight. Pretty good pairing between those two. Almost an A choice of defense for Motown. Although there was nothing that they could do on the opening goal. Almost caught ball watching, unfortunately, as Bermudez sent the ball off the hand of a Jackson player. Mike DeFont in a battle on the ground, and he will not win it, although his recovery does. Andrew G., the player who was originally slated to start tonight for the Jackson Lions, but they made a late change. Although G eventually coming on for the injured Jacob Rubenstein. Ball switched to Miguel Diaz, who's taking on Puente. Good switch inside to Kenny Hott, who was part of the build-up for the first goal, although he has to go back to Barone this time. It's the visitors who have taken control of this game, although turning the ball over in this instance, as I mentioned that. Motown almost needs to slow this game down and regain some control after a goal within 30 seconds. Bermudez went down, thought there was a foul, it was not called. Not a great ball from Erlen Bourne, but his teammates in the right position to keep it with them as Puente got fooled and advantage was played as Diaz was fouled. Ogunwale into Russo, and he tried to go over the top for a G but overhit it. FC Motown this summer also sponsored by Premier Nursing Care, as well as the Orthopedic Institute of New Jersey. Thank you to all of the Motown sponsors this summer for the work they do and making sure everything is possible on the field for FC Motown. Foul in the midfield by Giuseppe Barone would give a free kick to Motown. 22 minutes played, 2 goals in 5 minutes, not much since. As two teams try and settle this game down on what started as a humid night in Montclair, New Jersey. The thunderstorms, knock on wood, have avoided us. As Yusuf Chicholu, back heel flick to Bermudez. He tries to lay it off, but it's a turnover. I think Russo knew he was offside, so he did not attempt that run. Motown player just going into the book now after first committing the foul and then making things worse by kicking the ball away. So that's the first player on a yellow. And it goes to the FC Motown player in Chris Bermudez. Octocomp looking for the right decision. He takes it in Chicholu. Bermudez right back to Chicholu. Those two playing a little 1-2 with each other, running circles around the Jackson Lions, but forced backwards. That ball somehow stayed in bounds. It just perfectly stayed on the line as goes all the way back to Erlenborn, who finds his player perfectly. Jackson running at Motown. It's Diaz. He's onside. He takes the shot right at Grashek. the perfect counter for the Jackson Lions, but it does not result in a goal, and it stays 1-1. Is that a chance that will be ruled by the Jackson Lions as Motown turn it over in the midfield? Things are not going the way of the reigning NPSL national champions. Another good switch to Andrew G. And the ball is won by Hermanus Achterkamp, and not only won, but kept in bounds as well. Another late whistle from the referee, probably just playing advantage, as Motown are going to make a substitution, and Andre Puente will play just 26 minutes as he is replaced by Stefano Muniz. See how Motown changes their formation now, with Puente a defender coming out for an attacker or midfielder in Muniz. Looks like Franco Catania is going to move back into the left back position. So we'll keep an eye on that. Miguel Diaz having a really good first half and forcing a change out of the hosts. Never easy to be pulled for a non-injury reason, but it's part of the learning process of being a pro or semi-pro, is Catania with the turnover and then winning the throw. You're always going to find some bumps in the road. It's how you handle them, especially on a team like FC Motown. Muniz, his first touch, and he needs some help. He finds it, and it's cleared out by Ogunwale. Kenny Hott heading that one backwards, and a foul by Muniz overrules the corner kick. Just a boneheaded decision by Muniz to go into the back of the defender, who is always going to feel even the slightest touch and go down, looking for the free kick. No handball. Ball switched over to Bermudez. Guarded closely. That one was a handball. You could see the arm away from the body of Bermudez as Thomas Johnson was guarding him closely. Johnson scored last game for the Lions against the Philadelphia Union Development Squad. In that game, they had a 3-0 lead after 25 minutes and held on to win 3-1. A different test tonight, though, with Motown, as it goes over the head of Achterkamp, but cleaned up by Voltaire. Opoku Mensah, the forward for Motown, just falling asleep, not realizing he was offside and playing the ball. He's been called for a couple of offside decisions and a couple of fouls tonight. The player in the number 9 slot. And this is his opportunity to seal more starts as the season goes on. Of course, he was involved in the opening minute goal, but that was mainly due to a defensive error, not clearing it away, despite the really good cross, though. Motown come again into Bermudez, denied that one, and it's Kenny Hott who will clear and start the comeback. Has Russo, chooses Diaz. His cross towards Russo, and it's not a great takedown from the Notre Dame man. Mooney's making a run. Bermudez trying to pick it out, and it forces a clearance out of bounds. Cordero, Bermudez, playing a little 1-2. Chuchelu will go into the book. That's just a boneheaded decision after giving the ball away to chop at the legs of Giuseppe Barone. Frustration showing at points for Motown. Not used to games being this close, maybe. This was always going to be a back and forth type of game, especially with Motown missing some of their better players, especially in the midfield. And a Jackson Lions team that has loaded up their squad for this game, knowing they need all 3 points. Ball over the top for Russo. He has Anderson, takes it himself and misses the target. Although he's yet to find the back of the net, Daniel Russo, the Notre Dame junior, has done so much of the damage, and if not for the post allowing Rubenstein to score, it would have been a Daniel Russo goal. First ball won by Jackson, but second ball temporarily won by Motown, although taken by Barone in midfield. Here's Anderson, but a poor cross. Great takedown by Apoku Mensah, but then the ball taken away by Johnson. Not strong enough there, the Motown number 9. Things getting chippy as expected in these heated rivalry type of games as Bermudez getting a talking to from the referee. Of course, Bermudez already got a yellow card for time wasting. Really can't be getting 2 yellow cards for time wasting, can you? He has to know he's on a yellow card. He has to know get away from the ball as quick as possible, especially with a referee who's already given you a yellow and now a warning. Catania playing the outside back position now, asking for a touch, and he did get the touch. Well, it seemed like the two referees were in disagreement over whose throw-in it was, but the assistant referee, who was in better position, gave it as a Motown throw-in, as Catania is called for catching Diaz on the legs. Kapok restarting play quickly. And it's Danny Cordero who did just enough. Johnson switches it back, headed away by Catania, but just to Diaz, who turns the Motown defender. And Catania recovered just enough to deflect that cross. As Cordero comes the other way, the Motown veteran. This game could turn on its head in a matter of seconds, as Bermudez was not fouled. I think everyone on the Motown bench plus the fans thought that was going to be a foul, and the referee said play on. Bad turnover by Jackson. Looking for the run. Opoku Mensah gets behind his defender. Just himself in the box, so he has to wait for help. Gets around the defender though. Shoots and scores! Opoku Mensah does it himself! A great ball over the top. And Motown make it 2-1. And once again, it is a error in midfield, a turnover from Jackson, capitalized by Motown, and that's what I meant. This game could switch in a matter of seconds, and it's a turnover followed by a fantastic through ball. And Opoku Mensah had a lot to do, and he indeed did do a lot. The Ghana striker in the 36th minute has restored Motown's lead. And that is especially huge for the number 9 who previously played for Sporting Kansas City's second squad. He was showing some frustration at points, being caught offside, committing some fouls, but as with any number 9, all it takes is one chance. There's another turnover by Jackson, but then Kenny Hott takes the ball back. Diaz looking for the quick response, still on his foot, and it's a great ball by Kenny Hott, but it's the fellow number 6 of Danny Cordero to clear it. Not a clean clearance by Franco Catania, but he does the job in the end. 39th minute we're coming into. 6 minutes plus stoppage time on what's been a hectic first half. Sloppy at times, chippy at times. Most importantly, filled with goals. 3 in the first half as Bermudez tries to come but is slowed down just enough. Ball into the box, caught by Erwin Bourne. What can Diaz do on this attack? He's guarded by Muniz. And a great job defensively by Muniz and Catania. 2 players who are traditional forwards, but they come back. Catania in his new left back position, and they've slowed down Diaz just a little bit. Johnson will get a talking to now. Looks like another substitution being forced due to injury for the Jackson Lions, as this time it's Giuseppe Barone who is down hurt, and Narc Miranda Jr. is being readied. Already lost Jacob Rubenstein due to a leg injury, and it looks like now losing Giuseppe Barone to the same thing, just a muscle leg injury, it seems like. Two players who are so big for this Jackson Lions team. Rubenstein up top, Barone in the midfield. And we hope for a quick recovery for both players, as it's not ideal to have to make two first half substitutions due to injury. But that's the scenario that the Jackson Lions are facing on the road against the reigning national champions. Octocomp does his job of getting it back to Greshek, who can restart play. And Poku Mensah did not win the foul. Voltaire slowing down Jackson just enough, but it does end up on the foot of Diaz. Although, once again, Jean Voltaire, right spot, right time. And it's a throw-in off of Diaz. Diaz has scored a couple times this summer for Jackson. Scored against First State, opened the scoring last game. Caused a lot of issues for Andres Puente, who was subbed off. He's been relatively, or at least comparatively, silent since the substitution. Cordero wins the second ball. Chicholu getting it back. First game between these two in Jackson, New Jersey was a 4-1 scoreline. It's already 2-1. Another turnover by Motown in midfield. Bermudez has a couple of options. Finally gets it off his feet for Cordero on the ground. Chicholu just outside the 18, and he's forced backwards. Motown will just reset. At this point, Motown seem more than happy to get to halftime with a 2-1 scoreline, which I think, considering the run of play, would be a good scoreline for Motown. Facing a lot of pressure in the first half from Jackson, as Erlenborn is forced to boot that one upfield. And it's won by Octocomp. So from one goalie to the other, we'll do the same thing, get back to midfield. Not one, but two Motown men were far, far offside. So there was no chance of winning the second ball. Hot gives the ball away. Stefano Muniz up to Poku Mensah, who is fouled. Ogunwale committing the foul. "45 minutes on the clock. We're into first half stoppage time of this 2-1 matchup between FC Motown and the Jackson Lions, as Motown will send this ball towards the box. Won by Voltaire into the arms of Erlenborn. Question is, can Motown get into halftime with it still 2-1? Or can Jackson steal a goal in what would probably be the more fair scoreline going into halftime? Then again, when is soccer ever fair? Can be quite a cruel sport sometimes. Possession's a great thing, but shots on goal, that's the stat that most people care about. And right now, pretty even in that category, but Motown's shots have been more clinical. And honestly, a fantastic save, even though it was right at him, by Dave Greshek earlier on a counterattack. They kept it 1-1 at the time and gave Motown the chance to take the lead as Kenny Hott makes the good recovery run. Thomas Johnson has to get this out of danger with a Pokumensa on his shoulder. And clearing Hermanis Achterkamp, that's a challenge in and of itself. As here come Motown again, the switch. Mooney's taking on his defender. Help comes. And Mooney's does not commit the foul. Oh, yes, he does. There's the halftime whistle. A foul by Stefano Mooney's, the last action of the first half. And Motown will head into halftime with a 2-1 lead against the Jackson Lions, but I'm sure plenty of action, plenty of drama left for half number 2. So stick around through halftime, and then we will be back for a second 45 minutes of action. Goals from Bermudez and a Pokumensa the difference. A goal from Jacob Rubenstein does not result in anything at halftime, though, as Jackson trail by 1.
Doesn't matter. No, but if you're buying the tickets at $500 a pop, you want to see it, and he doesn't play. Of course, he doesn't play. You're going to be upset. Go to the game, he's taking the game off. Sure, you can do anything you want. He was. He was. He was younger. The problem's going to be Miami's going to be in last place. By the time these guys get on the team, they're going to know where they're going to do. They'd have to win like 10 games.
Anywhere out of here is good. Yeah, anywhere out of here is good. Change the scenery, I guess.
He's not going to play anymore.
When I get back, I feel like the rest of the summer is gonna go by really fast.
How much longer?
July. Yeah. July hits. I never know what day is. Another week.
At 36, you get old.
July's on the Tuesday.
18-year-old kids, they flying right by you. That we can afford. A messy burger. at the Hard Rock Cafe is a sponsor for the Messy Burger. It is a messy burger. It's a big burger.
It was really nice. Crazy, but like nice. It was just too much. I don't know if you're familiar with Pennsylvania, Philadelphia at all. So the hotel we stayed at was across from the Liberty Bell. Then on Thursday, the rehearsal dinner was like maybe 10 minutes away. Everything was pretty much within, I'd say, the 5 mile radius, but it was just
Manchester
there.
City.
Yeah. So you either have to Uber, or actually what they ended up doing was they ordered like trolleys, so they come down bringing people back and forth. But it's just too much, you know.
You cannot stay with Barcelona and Real Madrid at the same time.
Yeah, I take both
So
of them.
just like today,
I'd say
FC Inter
definitely 200 people. Probably more, but definitely 200.
of course, they are great.
I would show you pictures that my phone is completely dead. Yeah, she looked really good. So it's really nice.
They had a bad World Cup.
No more than
Deixa eu ver uma tarefa.
Yeah, I saw her mail and stuff like that.
Se possa ler um vídeo.
Video that is one of the centerpieces. So she had at the bottom, she had two different
Tonight is
centerpieces.
USA.
This one,
Yeah,
at the
Jamaica
bottom,
on
was
FS1
like a square,
at 9:30.
which was
They're playing better.
a fan.
That was a final.
No, the bottom.
Mexico was a semifinal.
This here, the standing
No,
up
Jamaica
ones
is
are,
called
you know,
the
the
old
plant.
This is
I'm like, oh my god.
game
It'll come
one.
to me.
Then
I'll
United States
remember it.
plays.
And then there were two different ones out there in the
Trinidad
Mount
and
Odyssey.
Tobago.
Yeah, I don't know. They
No,
took
the islands.
hours if they wanted to do it. I
They
guess
had
usually
number
they
20.
get hours to see.
Done. The guy, Motown, it's a black kid that plays in France. Could have chosen it. Plays for Arsenal. Arsenal lent them to a French team, and he's the second leading scorer in France. His last name is Gunn, G-U-N. The last 3 letters is Gunn. Morgan or something like that. He's a difference.
On where she came down.
Big, he's fast.
Hallelujah? No. I saw the video for walking up on that. Oh, there's the veil was gorgeous. It was gorgeous.
yeah, we saw it.
With the ceremony on? With the ceremony on? But like, wait. So then when the bridal party came down, all the guys were holding up. His last name is D'Angelo. So they all had a letter, and I see that they stood in the middle. They held the first letters up. Oh, you saw that? Yeah. And then the girls had those flashing lights.
What, you played in high school?
Yeah, you think
And she was dancing while doing this too. I can't do that part. Like this, she wasn't dancing, but like when they were dancing and stuff, she was just like talking with everybody else and doing that at the same time. She was really good.
Oh, what's up, man? For now. I know. 26 seconds. This is all ever you ever had. Just you got the ball, they play with it. They keep going, play it a little bit. Turned it over. Guy in the corner, cross it over in front of the goalie. Is it the one like around the corner from the school or no? Is there a big guy?
It's down. But church,
Played in the United, all three games we played in the United States.
down.
We sell out. Jamaica, they don't get any crowd. Trinidad and Tobago, no crowd.
I heard him. He told you.
But
He
in
sent
the
me the
US, they
picture
have
of it. I was
50,000
shit.
people.
What it was. Huh? I was confused with all it was. So all I could see was like the bottom part.
$100 a ticket.
The whole bottom. Not the heel. Just like the lining of the shoe.
Were they new?
I have a couple of years, but I've only worn them like once. I think maybe just kind of my second time.
Midwest.
I think the last time I wore them was for my cousin's wedding. So I had a black sequins dress, and they matched the dress. So why am I gonna go buy it? You know. So and I think the last time I wore them was for my cousin's wedding. That's very good. And so the bottom, thank God, still had a line. So I was like, I can get away with this. But because of the rain,
Like I told you, and we've been saying.
so luckily, she had flip-flops
This guy tries to put
for
us
everybody. For like the yes.
every time we play on that field, Washington.
So as soon as we got in, I put the flip-flops. I put them on. Then plus I had met my cousin. Because I have another pair of heels just in case. I said, you know what, just put it just in case. You know, because if I don't make it, at least I'll have something. Because I didn't bring another pair of heels. And then when I got here, I took them off. Then I brought back to my room. And it was good. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, thank God. It was better because I could dance better. I had more fun with it than with the heels.
Were they like a good pair of shoes, like Vans or?
Yeah, they were just some pair of shoes. They're good. Macy's brand. They're just like a satin with the the strap, the satin, and then had the sequins on the strap. A couple years old, and then she got married like 5, 6 years ago. But I bought them for that wedding.
How's the attendance?
And I don't think I wore them to that.
Soft.
Should, but I think it's because of
The economy's not
I
good.
think it's the water plus
Some of the teams, the stadiums look empty.
they look like
And it, no, it's okay. And how much is your ticket?
I didn't even get to like talk to everyone there, but it was a lot better than we expected. Like my sister and like they're very simple, they don't like anything big or crazy, but I think I got everybody like really excited for the wedding.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Second half action just about ready to get underway tonight from Montclair State University, and if it's anything like the first half, it should be a fantastic 45 minutes of soccer left here from MSU Soccer Park, the home to FC Motown this summer, of course also home of New York Red Bulls 2 in MLS Next Pro now. But the focus is on the NPSL action, and that was 45 minutes of really good back and forth. Jackson Lions saw themselves go down within a minute thanks to a Chris Bermudez goal, taking advantage of a defensive error. And Jackson equalized in the 6th minute, but a 36-minute goal from William Opoku Mensah. The difference in half number 1 is FC Motown are just coming out now for second half action on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon. There were thunderstorms possible. Well, we never got them, and that's a good thing. I'll be right back. Second half action just about ready to get underway.
I have my favorite.
Well, it looks like the two teams are just about ready to kick off second half action. If this result holds, Motown will clinch their place in the Keystone Eastern Conference Championship game, and the Jackson Lions would still hold fate in their own hands, but would have no chance of taking the number 1 spot in the conference. Atlantic City FC coming into tonight just 1 point behind Jackson. So we could see a new second place team, but we will have to wait and see exactly what the scoreline from the other game is, and have to wait and see what the scoreline from this game will be. Motown will kick us off for second half action. We've already seen 3 subs, 2 injury substitutions on non-contact injuries for the Jackson Lions, and a lineup change, if you should say, for FC Motown. They took off a defender and moved Franco Catania back into the defensive position as Apoku Mensah heads it down. Chicholu has the overlapping run of Mooney's. Could it be another quick start for Motown? It will not exactly be that, but they do win the corner. They scored within 1 minute to start the game, and they almost scored within 1 minute of the second half as well. Good flick on by Apoku Mensah. And then, unfortunately, Muniz just did not have the angle, and it was poked out for a corner. First such corner of this game. Ball in, cleared away by the first defender, and Julian Anderson will go claim it. Forced into a corner. And knocked off of a Motown player for a throw. Good ball. Russo, one touch. And the counter is truly on for Jackson. Ball to the outside. How good will the service be? That's the question, as it's forced backward. Narc Miranda Jr. gives it up far side. And the ball in. It's a good one. And unintentional play back, so Greshek can claim and finish that chance. Jackson Lions win the ball back only temporarily as Jean Voltaire under pressure has the outlet, and the outlet returns the ball, and Motown will somehow get away from that pressure without conceding a throw, or even worse. Lemma and Octocomp. Ball up towards Cordero. Motown putting on a clinic right now of passing in the midfield, building out from a press. That was completely mishit, but does not result in anything. Ball up, Apoku Mensah flicks on again, but this time Bermudez was not there. That one just completely mishit by Erlenborn. Callum Erlenborn, the goalkeeper for Jackson, conceded 2 goals in that first half, and can't really remember a save that he made either. Tough first half for him. Although the first goal wasn't really his fault. It was a trap by the defender that ended up on the feet of Bermudez. And then the second was a tight angle, but Apoku Mensah snuck it past the goalie.
That's better, guys. That's better. Come on. Stay small here. Good, Chris. Go, Chris. Inside, Chris. Inside. Together. We're going together.
Great job by Mike DeFont. Wins the ball back for Motown. And it will end up back on his feet. Motown showing their ball holding skills now. Maintaining possession. That was not a great decision as Jackson are on the counter. Julian Anderson trying to find a teammate, and the recovery run just enough done, and it's a goal kick. Jack Krongold is number 14 who's come on for the Jackson Lions. NJIT sophomore Jack Krongold. Good header on by Apoku Mensah again. Backheel flick. Didn't work, and Bermudez would have been offside if he had played the ball. Julian Anderson beaten there by Aftercomp. Anderson back on it. Poor touch though, and it ends up in Greshek's hands. Julian Anderson scored the only goal for Jackson in these two teams' first meeting, the 4-1 victory for Motown. Wants to get back on the score sheet. If you're just joining us, Jacob Rubenstein opened the scoring for the Jackson Lions tonight in the 6th minute. He was forced off due to a non-contact injury. He pulled up while making a run. They had another starter in Giuseppe Barone. Same thing, was making a run, came up with a little bit of a muscle injury. So they were forced into 2 substitutions because of that. Chris Bermudez crossing it in. Late arriver was Mooney's, and it forced the clearance by Kapok. Mooney's holds off Kapok, gets into the box looking for a teammate. Apoku Mensah gets on it, he shoots and he skies it high and wide. But a good chance for the Motown striker. Here come the visitors. Kenny Hott. Decent first half in the midfield for Jackson. Part of a lot of the hold-up and counterattacks as here they come again. Russo goes down and handles the ball. No foul called, so it's a foul instead against Russo. And while Jackson were still complaining about the call, Motown restart play. See what they can do on this attack. Up to Bermudez again. Makes one move and slows it down. Advantage played by the referee. Julian Anderson in the attack for Russo, and Krongold was offside despite the finish. It stays 2-1. Wrong goal, just going a little bit too early as the Motown line had stepped up. An experienced back line of Hermanus Achterkamp and Jean Voltaire. And it was Achterkamp that played the offside trap well there. Opoku Mensah taken down, and the foul will go against the number 4 of Brandon Bolden. Or Brandon Golden, I should say. Motown wanted to take that free kick quickly, but Golden was standing over it, so the referee decides to set up the free kick. It's a chance for Chris Lemma to send it into the box. Lemma's ball, far post. Voltaire is there. There's another player there. Cleared off the line by Ogunwale. And Voltaire is still down. It's the Penn State player who clears it off the line to keep his team in it. Although it might have been cleared by a teammate as well, Ogunwale had to do his job and just clear it out for a corner. Still a chance though. Another set piece for Motown, this time taken by Lemma. Good ball again, and the header by Voltaire is over. He did score in the last game for FC Motown, Jean Voltaire. Motown still have Nick Hazel on their bench. Mike Bello is still available. So there are still some options for Motown if they want to use them. Great ball. Voltaire is in a race on the ground, and he recovers up to Julian Anderson, who smartly pulled back and kept the ball. Most importantly, as Diaz switches outside. And that's a turnover. Stefano Muniz could have a head of steam here. Has a runner in Bermudez. Now will finally take it, but might have been a little bit too late, although Bermudez is putting a battle in. And it's a goal kick. Brandon Golden doing his job. Golden, another one of those players that have experience in the Motown system. He played with FC Motown STA in USL League 2. Here's Krongold. Finds a teammate, and it was Johnson just slowed down by his own teammate in Miranda. And that's a cheap foul to give away by Cordero. Really cannot be doing that if you're an experienced player like that. Putting your leg in. '59th minute, heading into the 60th of a 2-1 Motown lead. Kenny Hott, the player standing over. A beautiful chance for the Jackson Lions to equalize with a two-man wall set up in Cordero and Bermudez. The in-swinger towards the goal, and Greshek had fallen and left the ball behind, but he recovers, and it stays 2-1 for the time being. Great touch by Cordero. And Motown can set up on the ball again. With Bermudez into Opoku Mensah. And it was deflected. Aimed for Muniz. No foul, says the referee. All of the Jackson players upset with it. A player down injured, so Motown clear it out. That's Narc Miranda Jr. who thought he was fouled. Referee said play on, and Motown did the right thing of just clearing it out and making sure the player was okay. Especially considering the fact that Jackson has already had 2 injuries on non-contact plays. Just want to double check. Seems as though there might be an issue with David Greshek. And I wonder if maybe when he was on the ground he might have been kicked or something, as the trainer is being asked to come onto the field, and Greshek will have to be looked at. Something with his face and maybe eye. Motown does have a backup goalkeeper tonight. And they are readying just in case. But for the time being, it looks like Greshek will be able to continue whatever the issue is, looked at by the trainer and staying on. Backup goalie tonight for FC Motown is Marcilio Suarez. No Josh Schaefer backing up Greshek. But looks like Suarez will take his gloves off, will not warm up, as Greshek will continue. You know, it's always scary when a goalkeeper is having his eye looked at, because you never know, or that eye region, because you never know if it's going to affect sight. Of course, from here, can't tell if he was bleeding or not. Jackson are looking to keep their undefeated record on the road alive. 3-0 on the road, 2-2 at home this season for the Jackson Lions. But the only losses over the top 2 teams in the Keystone East. Jean Voltaire wins the battle, as he has done for much of this night. Jean Voltaire, the Haitian product. Ball switched over for Chicholu, battling Johnson, who slows him down. No foul. Chicholu went down under contact from Krongold, but not enough, said the referee in his AR. Another ball on the ground, but this time it's Octerkamp that holds off Russo. Russo is definitely the most potent player in the attack right now for Jackson in this game. He's that number 9 currently. Diaz took a little nick at Catania, who played it back to his goalkeeper. We'll win the second ball. It's Mooney's who keeps it in. And the hold-up play gets it back to Lemma. Motown just about 25 minutes away from clinching a playoff spot once again in the Keystone Conference, in this year's Keystone Conference East. They would jump up to 22 points out of a possible 24 with a win, but there's still work to do. Jackson will not go down without a fight. We've seen that throughout the years, although they missed the playoffs last year. It was just barely missing the playoffs due to a poor start. They went on a run late in the season as Muniz. Good idea. The shot didn't come off. It's another substitute for FC Motown, this time Chris Bermudez coming off. Bermudez opened the scoring in today's game in the first minute, just about 30 seconds in. And he gets a lot of appreciation from his bench, as it is a new player in for FC Motown. Here comes Mooney's, guarded by 2 players, and it's another corner kick for Motown. Looks like Rodrigo Roca is the player who came on for Chris Bermudez. Roca attends Adelphi University. So he's come into the attack trying to hold things down in a 2-1 lead. A big chance from the set piece to make it 3 though. Ball in, headed away by Ogunwale. Previous corner was better than that one from Motown. Then again, really good defensive job. Motown have some numbers. Jean Voltaire still in the attack, and it's cleared away. Voltaire now has to run back to get in position before this Jackson counter, which is stopped by Muniz with a whistle just about 3 seconds after Muniz had committed the foul. Just one of those decisions where if you think it's a foul, whistle it right away. Muniz had won it, then turned and was coming the other way all before the referee put the whistle to the mouth, as there's a turnover. Brandon Golden facing a lot of pressure, and he gets away. Golden gets it to Hott, over to Johnson. That could have been dangerous, but now Jackson have the attack. Krongold switching it. Miranda, the shot just misses. '70th minute chance for an equalizer, but Narc Miranda Jr. just misses the target past a sprawling David Greshek. second foul was called after looked like Mooney's committed 2 fouls on that play, one pushing down a player and then the slide tackle. Player goes down, no contact. Or at least not enough contact for a foul. Johnson gives the ball away. Apoku-Mensah crosses it, and it will be Golden to clear it away. Motown win it back though. Chicholu goes down, there's no foul there either. That one is a foul, and the referee will go to his back pocket for a yellow card to Danny Cordero. Another yellow card for an FC Motown player. Going into the 73rd minute in a 2-1 FC Motown lead against the Jackson Lions, the Jersey Classico, as these two teams have called it. Good switch by Golden and cleared out by Muniz. Johnson gives that ball away, but to be recovered in defense by Ugunwale. It's going to be highly contested last 15 minutes or so as Thomas Johnson loses his defender, still on the ball, heads it in, and it is cleared away by Voltaire for just a throw. As that one was heading into the box, another one heading in and cleared away. Another substitution for FC Motown. Another chance to thank FC Motown's sponsors for all that they have done this season. Motown this season sponsored by 1776 by David Burke, the jersey sponsors on the front. Great partnership for FC Motown. A great place to go if you want to have some great food and entertainment with Top Golf Sports. Also, Premier Nursing Care on the back of Motown's jerseys, a great sponsor, as well as Orthopedic Institute of New Jersey. Thank you to all three for sponsoring FC Motown's NPSL team and FC Motown as a whole this summer season. Motown making the substitution as Chicholu was the player that came off of the field. Junior Delva on for FC Motown. Ball towards Krongold, and Achterkamp does his job expertly once again. Anderson with a lot of space for this run, but it was closed down just enough, and Motown will come the other way with Danny Cordero and Muniz. Stefano Muniz scored last game for FC Motown. In his substitution appearance today, he's had some good minutes as Motown are still on it. And Franco Catania almost forcing an issue. Not sure if that Jackson player would have been offside. Doesn't matter though, as Muniz, who had stepped in to cover for Franco Catania, headed it away. Once again getting open on that far side though. Ball towards the top of the box. Johnson gives it up to Hott. Kenny Hott finally cleared by Motown. 2 slide tackles, both got the ball. And Motown will come the other way with a Poku Mensah. And he sent in his teammate. Is this a chance to put this game away for Motown? It's a good recovery by Golden. And a bad shot by a Poku Mensah off target. Although this does clear some clock for Motown as Erlenborn had to go and retrieve the ball. And now they have to build up all the way from the back. Under 15 minutes to go, needing an equalizer. Junior Delva fouled. Second straight summer the Junior Delva has been playing for FC Motown. He was one of the Motown veterans on last year's NPSL National Championship squad at different points of the season. Called in tonight with some players missing. And his job in this substitute appearance is just to hold on to this game, as Muniz is in a battle which Kapok will win. Yellow card shown to a member of FC Motown's bench. And during this delay, Motown will make a substitution, it seems like. And it looks like William Apoku Mensah is the player who is making his way off the field. As of the time being, Apoku Mensah, the game winner for FC Motown. A ball in which he had a lot to do, but he got around the defender, snuck it into the far post. And it's the forward from Ghana, who right now is the difference, replaced by Mike Bello. Mike Bello, another player who is a veteran presence on this FC Motown squad. Motown asking for a handball, which nobody saw. Well, nobody except for all of the Motown players and Motown bench, as the referee waves to play on. And just listening to some of the players on the field, Danny Cordero, the captain, saying that ball would have been in on goal if not for the handball, so should have been a penalty. Calls not going the way of FC Motown right now, despite their lead. Bello putting some pressure on. Jackson build out from the back. Just as I said with Motown's goal, could come from anywhere at any moment. An equalizer. Julian Anderson, good run into the 18-yard box, pulls it up, Voltaire heads it. And who's there but Danny Cordero? Partially clears it and then just gets it out of bounds. Kenny Hott, what can he do? Time running down on the Jackson Lions. They hold the fate in their own hands for the number 2 spot in the Keystone East in a playoff spot. But they desperately want at least a point out of this one against the reigning national champions. Don't know the Atlantic City score against First State, which was taking place as well tonight. But you would have to imagine that Atlantic City would beat First State FC, the team sitting bottom with 0 points. In which case, Jackson might be leaving tonight in 3rd place and on the outside looking in. Their remaining 2 games after this, 8 games played, they finish with Monmouth and then Atlantic City. Ball to the box. Anderson takes an extra touch. And it's on the ground. Hermanus Ochterkamp. The slide tackle to keep that ball away from net. Player down for FC Motown, as they will have to clear this one out. It looks like Mike DeFont might have felt something as he went to slide tackle. Might have actually gone into his teammate. That never feels good when you get a teammate's cleat to the leg. And Motown will get the ball back. Good gamesmanship shown by the Jackson Lions again. Both these teams, high-class organizations. They respect their opponents on and off the field. And that's why this is such a good rivalry. Bello couldn't win that ball, and it's Krongold who will come the other way. And a great job by Mike DeFont. Maybe one more sub being readied by FC Motown. Last 10 minutes in a game that has evidently become a case of holding on for FC Motown. Good ball. Miranda pulls it back for Hott. One more. Julian Anderson. And it's deflected off of a Motown defender and in. The former Motown man may have just taken a point away from Motown. Greshek may have had that covered, but the sliding defender in front of him deflected the ball past Greshek. And this game is equalized in the 85th minute. It was evident that Motown were just trying to hold on. But now the case is trying to hold on for just a single point. A win that would have clinched the Keystone East playoff spot for Motown. But it may have to wait unless Motown have a quick start. Danny Cordero up to a teammate. Trying to put a couple of moves on Johnson. Gets around, cross in, and it's a corner kick. Good chance for Motown now. Back and forth action in Montclair, New Jersey. Julian Anderson, the former Motown man, just equalized. But is there a game winner? Junior Delva will come over to take the corner kick. Good service. Header away, ball back in. And it deflects out for another corner kick. '86th minute. 4 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Pushing inside the box. Another ball in, far post. The header still in the area. And it's cleared away by the Jackson Lions, who go on the counter. Can they steal all 3 points tonight? But the ball is not good. And Motown come on the counter. Gene Voltaire is still up. The flick on. And it will be taken temporarily, only to fall to the Motown man in midfield. Do we have more drama? It has a feeling like it. Great recovery by Johnson there. He had to get that touch. Krongold in. Deflected down by Octocomp. Kenny Hott still on it. Kenny Hott waiting for a runner. 88th minute. Ball out to Miranda, who started their equalizing goal chance. It falls. But Diaz's shot is just at Greshek. The long release, Ogunwale wins the header and then clears it out for a throw. Not a great idea for the long throw in. And it's Rousseau, can't keep it in though. He was running onto it. And now some time wasting skills from Jackson. A fun game in Montclair, New Jersey between these two sides. It always is a fun game between these two. Muniz can't win that header. That would have been really big if he did. Catania. Great recovery. But then given away. Junior Delva. And Bella was offside. That was pretty obvious. We're heading into the 90th minute of a 2-2 classic of a game. Chance for Kenny Hott, gets it to Russo. Russo shoots, saved by Greshek. He saves the game for FC Motown in the 90th minute. Ball up to Muniz. Motown just saved the game for themselves. Can they win the game themselves? Muniz headed away and the counter is on again. Up to Russo. Clock stops at 90. We're into stoppage time of the second half. Muniz has Bello. Bello's onside. He shoots and he scores! Mike Bello, an extra time go-ahead goal, and Motown might have just completed their biggest win of the year. Olu Ogunwale held Bello onside. And the Motown veteran, in his first appearance this summer for the club, seals an extra time go-ahead goal. Almost an exact replica of what happened in the national championship game last summer, when the game looked like it was heading to extra time against Crossfire Redmond. Motown find an extra time winner. And right now Motown are minutes away from going back to the postseason. But never keep Jackson out of the game. Nick Hazel clears it out. Throw in for Jackson. Dave Greshek, a gigantic save to keep it 2-2. And it might have just resulted in his team getting 3 points. But it's not over yet. Krongold, his cross. It's headed away by Muniz. And the counter is on for Motown. Junior Delva sends Bello. Bello is in again. Bello gets around his defender, sets up a teammate. And the chip will be cleared off of the line by Zach Golden. The cheeky attempt by Rodrigo Roca. But Golden keeps his side in it for now. Question would have been whether Roca was onside in the build-up. But it does not matter as Golden made the clearance off the line. Bad touch by Anderson. But it's given right back. Here's Russo. Outside to Kenny Hott. Can Kenny Hott make a good appearance against his former side? And Krongold wastes his chance. Motown are ready for the final whistle. They are ready to celebrate another postseason bid. They've made the postseason every single year since they've joined the NPSL. They've made 2 national championship games. They've made the regionals each of the last 3 seasons that the NPSL has played. Even when the Keystone is split in half, there's still Motown. Junior Delva gets it to Bello, who is offside anyways. Doesn't matter about the foul. Jackson have to restart quickly. Down 3-2. They were down 2-1 until they found a second half equalizer. Krongold, a chance to make up for his bad cross in last time. Ball into the box, and Voltaire weirdly just headed it straight up into the air. A lot of vocalization on the field as Krongold heads it in, headed away by Voltaire. Julian Anderson on it. Kenny Hott. And now it is Motown again, and Bello was just offside. Does not matter though. The final whistle blows, and FC Motown defeat Jackson Lions with a stoppage time winner and are back in the NPSL Keystone Conference championship game. This time it's a straight bid to the championship game. They will have to wait and see who will play them. Atlantic City should probably move up into the 2 spot. Jackson Lions down to the 3. Motown, next game at Atlantic City, which could all but seal the number 1 spot. Then they finish the season at home against First State FC. If they need an extra 3 points, that could be a big game for them to officially seal the number 1 seed. Meanwhile, for Jackson, a tough loss, trailing 1-0, equalized right away. In the second half, they were trailing, and they find the equalizer. But all for naught, a Daniel Russo chance stopped by David Greshek. And then Motown go the other way, and Mike Bello, the game winner. Thank everyone for tuning in to tonight's game here on 11 Sports. I'm Charlie Brooks, and from everyone on our crew, everyone here at FC Motown and the Jackson Lions, we say so long. Have a fantastic rest of your night. A thriller in Montclair, New Jersey. Final score, Jackson Lions 2, FC Motown 3. Back to the playoffs.
A jugar más